Straight up, I don't like saying a wrestler is terrible. Wrestling is really, really hard, so for me to cast shade on someone for that doesn't seem right. However, that doesn't mean we can't all take a step back and fairly critique someone in terms of their consistency. And it's quite clear there are some individuals who, well, aren't the best. Let's just say that. However, even these would-be warriors can put on a great match from time to time, and when they do, it's a real shock to the system, mostly because we all ask how on earth that happened, and why can't they do that more often? I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and this is 10 times terrible wrestlers put on great matches. Number 10, Orlando Jordan. I wouldn't say that Orlando Jordan was bad, but he certainly never really had a fair shake of the stick. And even when he did, it's not like anything amazing happened either. He was kinda just there. At the Great American Bash in 2005, however, he did show signs of brilliance. This may have been because he was in the ring with Chris Benoit, but their back and forth here was nothing short of excellent. It was easily Jordan's best match in the WWE, and it was so good in fact that when Benoit ran through him at SummerSlam soon after, it was a bit disappointing. We'd already seen what could have been made of this, but that was that. Number 9, Kama Mustafa. Be it Kama Mustafa, the Godfather, or Papa Shango, Charles Wright has proven time and time again that if you give him a character, he'll do his best with it. Even the evil voodoo guy was pretty entertaining, mostly because it was so ridiculous. This was the focus with the man though, mainly because in the ring, he didn't do much. Once again benefiting from having a great opponent mind, when he went against Shawn Michaels in 1995 at the King of the Ring, well, it's fantastic. Michaels bumped around the place for Kama and the guy came across like he was genuinely kicking the crap out of him. Obviously most people in the ring with HBK are going to benefit, but Mustafa still had to do his bit. And he did do his bit. Number 8, Ezekiel Jackson. Ezekiel Jackson is never going to win any Match of the Year awards, but he was massive. That does count for something in pro wrestling. So there. A third entry where the man standing across the other side of the ring helped immensely. Christian and Jackson had a very good WWE CW Championship encounter at the 2010 Royal Rumble, despite Jackson being super green. Called up too soon because of his physique, Christian threw himself here, there and everywhere to make Ezekiel look like a monster in the process. Jackson was right in the pocket here too though, as he made sure that every strike he threw had an extra bit of stink on it. If he was aiming to make himself look tough, he succeeded. It was, as you'd imagine, a case of hits here and strikes there, but even the power moves were timed well, and the match flowed very nicely. Number 7, the Barbarian. Back in the 80s, the big lumbering giant was all the rage. There were loads of them, which was kinda dumb if you think about it, because it meant they all blended into one and didn't stand out at all. The Barbarian definitely fit into this bracket. Much like a lot of his peers, he bumbled his way around the ring just throwing fists and dishing out power slams as and when he felt like it. But trust the big boss man to find a way to make a match with him excellent. Going down at the 1991 Royal Rumble, both guys just clicked and there's a real quality here that you wouldn't have believed beforehand. It even finished when Boss Man reversed a Barbarian crossbody from the top rope, which no one saw coming. Go watch it now. Number 6, the Honky Tonk Man. The Honky Tonk Man was not booked because he was a good worker. He was booked because he had a great gimmick and knew how to be hated by the fans. Honky understood how to push people's buttons. Given that he could do this, however, meant if you got everything around him right, you could pull something exciting off. Say hello to WrestleMania 3. With the correct opponent, Jake Roberts, and the addition of Alice Cooper, who accompanied Jake to the ring, this felt like a big deal. When the bell rang too, the hoopla continued. Roberts knew how to build any match, and Honky had the colour to be the perfect foil. It even ended correctly. That heathen musician rolled up Jake and used the ropes for leverage. How dare he? Number 5, Brutus Beefcake. I don't want to make any wild accusations, but there is a small chance that a lot of Brutus Beefcake's success came from the fact he was best buds with Hulk Hogan. Just a guess, nothing more, nothing less. There was something in him, however, because at Saturday night's main event in 1989, Beefcake went toe-to-toe with Randy Savage. It was awesome. Coming together to promote the 1989 SummerSlam main event of Savage and Zeus versus Hogan and Beefcake, the hairdresser and Macho Man held nothing back for 10 minutes, and it was also exceptionally hard-hitting. There was clearly a desire here to make sure this didn't suck. It obviously ended with no finish to protect the upcoming tag match, but it was very good, and even more of a surprise because Beefcake was involved. Number 4, the Warlord. Remember what I said about the Barbarian? Go and listen to that entry again, but replace his name with the Warlord. They're not that dissimilar. He did have an upside though, and that was that it looked like he could kill you if you wanted. The dude was massive, like Stone Cold Steve Austin if you blew him up. It stands to reason then that positioned against another monster, in this case the British Bulldog, that it would be damn fun, which it was. Happening at WrestleMania 7, the two had a pretty good rivalry at this point, meaning the crowd was involved. They responded by smacking the crap out of each other. But it worked. It was also really cool to see Davey Boy hit his running power slam on the Warlord for the win. Not a classic, entertaining no doubt. 3, Crush. Crush really did do it all. If you go through his WCW and WWE careers, the man was given multiple gimmicks and put in multiple high-profile angles. Not bad for someone who many thought wasn't all that good. Finding his groove at WrestleMania 10 against Randy Savage, of course, it should have been terrible given the bizarre rules that surrounded it. Here, to win you had to first pin your opponent outside the ring, then make your way to the ring, and then hope your opponent didn't get in the ring within 60 seconds. That's just dumb. Macho and Crush overcame this and other odds, however, to create a compelling encounter that keeps you guessing. You can tell that both are working really hard to make something out of this too, which makes it even more entertaining. The ending is ridiculous. Crush gets his feet tied up so he can't make it back to the squared circle, but still, not bad at all. Number 2, Virgil. The Virgil vs Ted DiBiase storyline is one of my favourites in terms of nostalgia. I remember being so engrossed when I was a stupid kid in the early 90s, and their blow-off match at SummerSlam 1991 was fantastic. Or at least that's what I thought at the time. Surely revisiting it today would make me realise I was a fool. But no! Aside from the fact the program itself was very good, the $1 Million Man was so easy to hate, the audience that night desperately wanted to see Virgil win, reacting like crazy when he did. The whole thing is full of shenanigans and nonsense, but it's a pleasure to watch, and Virgil more than holds his own for the whole thing. And, if only for a moment, he was the most over babyface in history. Number 1, the Great Khali. As hard as it may be to believe, there was a time when the Great Khali wasn't that bad at all. Then, of course, he got massive, and various niggles got the better of him. He just couldn't go. Given his size though, he was always going to have a spot. Even with all that in mind, no one thought he would have a good match with John Cena at One Night Stand 2007. While it certainly wasn't a technical masterpiece, watching Khali kick the dreams out of Cena for what seemed like forever, only to John come back and hurl the giant off a truck for the win, was awesome. It worked, and the ending looked really cool. Bottom line, when all was over, this wasn't terrible. And that was saying something. Know of any other bad wrestlers that had good matches? Let us know in the comments below, and then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can even come tell me on Twitter at SimonMiller316 and WhatCulture at WhatCulture WWE. I am Simon from WhatCulture, and I will chat to you again soon.